Hi guys, so quick recap of what we did yesterday on the group meeting. Please try and make your best to get to the team meetings on a Sunday. We can also do some on different days. Quite happy to do one, maybe a Wednesday evening, or we'll speak to different people in the group if Sunday evening doesn't suit you. But we've intentionally tried to keep it to an hour. It did actually run on for nearly an hour and a half yesterday, but we were covering some really good content. I'm sure everyone would agree. But it's all for your benefit. It's not something that's there to get in the way of your week. It's not something it's supposed to be inconvenient for you. I get if some of you can't make it a Sunday evening, and that's fine. We'll try and do maybe a different one, mix it up a little bit. Next Sunday, we've got Real Lucra on the phone. They're going to join the call to talk about their sourcing option. You might get some free hints and tips off them. We can ask them lots of questions. So hopefully there's really good numbers for that. But we'll do a quick recap of what we did yesterday. As I say, that was a 90-minute call, so I'm going to make this a 10-15 minute video just for the benefit of the people that missed it. So I've got my notes in front of me and we'll run over the different topics that we were discussing. We were talking about sourcing, and I know that that's one of the most frustrating parts for many people. You're not just going to find deals by dipping into Rightmove once or twice a week. It's not as simple as that. If it was, everyone would be doing it. The people that jump on these short 2-3 day weekend courses, they're the people that quit because all they do is look for below market value properties, which are very difficult to find. All they do is look at Rightmove. They have no other strategies. They look at Rightmove once or twice a week. They put in some bids. They don't get properties, and then they give up. They try it for 2, 3, 4 months, and then they give up. That's not what the professional, serious property developer does. We keep going. We're looking everywhere. We're utilising all the different tools at our disposal, and we find the deals. So if we just go through the other ways there is, obviously you've got quite a few online platforms. Rightmove is one of the key ones, and we always look at Rightmove, but we're looking on the market. Zoopla. In your area, there'll be different ones. Up in Scotland, we've got one called S1 Homes, which is connected to the local TV station, and they're quite big in Glasgow and West Central Scotland. There will be lots of others in your area. We need to utilise them all. Some people sell properties on Facebook. You'll be surprised. Some people put things on Gumtree. We've got to maximise as many different things as we can. Local adverts, local papers, anywhere that someone might advertise a property, you need to be looking, and you need to be consistently looking. I'm not talking about once or twice a week. I'm talking about every day, every spare minute you're looking through properties. The other thing that will come from that, the more you look, the more familiar you'll get with prices. You can also look over the sold prices, but the more you're looking, the more chance of finding something, the more knowledge you're gaining. Even if you're doing something like looking at an online auction all day, you might be following a certain property. Your lot might not be up for the first 2, 3, 4 hours. If you're watching the other lots and what they're going for, it's all invaluable experience. So utilise as many of these as you can. One of the most important things if you want to try and get off-market properties is going to be networking, and it's going to be the time that you spend speaking to estate agents, letting agents, putting stuff out on your social media, talking to as many people as you can. That's what's going to get you off-market properties. There's no magic wand, I'm afraid. There's no magic beans you can have that just get you off-market properties. It's down to the time that you put in. One of the examples we used yesterday was, if you've been following the page, and I'm sure most of you have, Dee has been absolutely smashing it in terms of getting investors, but she spent a full day with an estate agent. Now, I didn't actually know at the time, this wasn't an estate agent that she knew. This was an estate agent who she made contact with over an advert they had. They also said to her, we've got 2 or 3 others. So she got to spend quite a lot of time with this certain estate agent, and that's invaluable time where you can educate that estate agent on your story, your position. You can tell them you've got funds available, finance in place, decisions in principle, you've got cash, you've got investors. That's time that you can educate your local estate agent and tell them what your position is and what your story is and what you're looking for. If you're just going to phone a couple of estate agents and ask them to put you on the list, the chances are they're never going to phone you back. Any estate agent, when you phone, will say, yeah, give us your details, we'll add you to the list. If anything comes up, we'll give you a phone. They're not going to phone you. You need to get in front of them. You need to spend some time with them. You need to make sure they know your face. They need to make sure you're serious. They know that you've got funds or investors or decisions in principle. You need to spend some time with these guys. By doing that, and they'll tell yourself, the estate agent actually phoned her back the next day. They had another property they offered her to go and look at. I think while she was out that day, she also got a chance to meet one of their other colleagues. Someone else appeared at one of the sites. So she was getting one-to-one time chatting with the estate agents. And that's what you want. That's how you build relationships. In any form of business, networking and being personal and being one-to-one is how you'll succeed. So you really need to put some time aside and get talking to as many people as you can. Again, the whole time you're doing this, you're building your own reputation. Whether it's online or whether it's in person, you're building your own reputation as a serious property developer. And people are only going to want to deal with you if you're a serious property developer. You need to appreciate how many calls these guys get, how many people these guys speak to on a daily, weekly basis, where people are telling them, I'm now a property developer. I just did a course last week, now I'm a property developer. They've heard it a million times. They need to see some evidence. They need to see you on social media. They need to see you going to lots of viewings. They need to see you're putting in bids. They need to know you're serious, and then they'll get to know your name, they'll get to know your face, and then that's when they might call you about a property that's potentially off market. That when an estate agent gets a property, more often than not, they have to go online. But there's always circumstances where the seller's looking for a quick sale, and that's when you might get that call. Again, if you're being vocal on your social media, you never know the time where a friend of yours or a friend of a friend, there could have been a death, there could have been a divorce, someone could have lost their job. Whatever the circumstance is, where a property becomes available and they need rid of it quickly, they need to know that you're the go-to person. You're the person who's always talking about property. Regardless of whether they know your story or not, they just know you're involved in property. They know that you're always talking about it and that you're heavily invested in property. They're going to presume that you're the person that can help them out with their problem. And something else you need to make sure that you understand, you're not in a position where you're ever going to be feeling guilty that you're taking a property off someone and you're going to make a lot of money on it and they could have done it themselves. Most people know if they put it on the market that they will get more money for it. Most people also know if they spent a bit of money and done a bit of work that they'll get more money for it. The reason they're contacting you, yes, they might not know that, but most of the time the reason they're going to contact you is because they need a quick fix. You're the person that's going to help them out with a problem. You're the person that's going to help them out of a situation. If somebody needs to sell their home fast and they come to you, you're helping them with a problem. There's also other things you can help them do. You could potentially say you'll clear the house for them, or you'll help them move, you'll arrange a van, you'll take their stuff to the next property, or you'll take their stuff out the property, you'll clean it, you'll arrange the lawyer, you'll arrange a valuation. Whatever you can do to help that person, which helps their situation, which helps you get the property. These are the things you need to put in place, and you need to understand if they've came to you for a reason, and you're going to help them out with this situation by doing whatever you can, which also will enable you to get the property. So these are some of the ways that you get off-market properties. It's not easy to get them, and it does take a bit of time, and it definitely takes a lot of relationship building. But it's very, very worth it, because if you get a property off market, you're going to save 10, 20, 30% from what you would potentially pay online if it's on market. Another thing we spoke about yesterday was sourcers. Now, if you're looking for your first property, I'm not suggesting you run out and you pay a sourcing fee. You could potentially pay a sourcing fee if you have the funds available. Sourcers are a valuable resource, but I'm not suggesting do it on your first one. If you're going to buy, if your plan is to have 10, 20 or more properties, you will have to utilise some sourcers at points. So use the time just now and make some good contacts. Get chatting to these sourcers, ask them what they've got, tell them what you're looking for. The they will be invaluable to you further down the line, but you never know. You might come across one who's got a really good deal in your area where you could make 20, 30, 40,000 pounds, and they might want a £2,000 or £3,000 sourcing fee. In that case, do it. If you've got the funds, do it. Ideally, when you get the first one or two, you want to try and find them yourself. You're not going to pay a sourcing fee, but make these contacts. Utilise these people. If you see them on all the property groups, take their name, make a quick call, have a chat with them. If they're in your area, meet them for a coffee. But get to know these people, because if you're a serious property developer and you want to have multiple properties and you're going to do this for the next 5, 10, to the end of your working life, you're going to have to utilise sourcers at some point. So get in touch and find out who's good at what they do, who can give you a reasonable rate, who can actually find you good below market value properties or properties that you can make a lot of money on, and who's not going to charge you a fortune. On the sourcer front, I would always say be careful what they tell you. A sourcer, like anyone else, is a salesperson. They will tell you that the refurb is a bit less than it might actually be. They'll probably tell you the end value is a little bit higher than it might be. But that's where you have to do your due diligence and make sure what they're telling you is correct. And then obviously an average reasonable sourcing fee would be £2,000-3,000. Some sourcers will ask for a lot more, but take every property on its own accord. If someone's asking for a £5,000 sourcing fee and it's going to make you £30,000-40,000, well, that's a good deal. Maybe they've got the right to ask you for that. Just don't dive in and pay £6,000-7,000 for a deal and it turns out you're only going to make £10,000-15,000 on it, because I've seen so many of them. So again, if you're in touch with a sourcer and you want to ask me anything, just get in touch and we'll keep you right on that side. But don't exclude the sourcers just because they charge a fee. Keep an open mind to it and make some good contacts, because you will need these guys at some point. We also spoke about the auctions. So there is lots of good deals to be had at the auctions, but be very, very, very careful when it comes to auctions. When you go to an auction, and they'll all have their own different terms and conditions, you will have to pay a large chunk on the night, 25%, 33%, whatever the auction house asks for, you will have to pay it on the night. Now, they will then give you something in the region of 28 days to pay the balance. Again, check their terms and conditions. But if you don't have the funds in place, it's going to take you a lot longer than 28 days to go through the financial process. If you're getting a bridging loan or trying to get investor funds in quickly, that could potentially take you a lot longer than 28 days. If you don't conclude within their time frame, they will come after you, and they are vultures, they are sharks, they will come after you hard. If they have to remarket a property, and let's say, for example, that property sells for 10,000 less than you were going to buy it for, they will sue you for the £10,000. They will come after you. So make sure you get the funds in place. Make sure you're experienced when you're going there. You're not just jumping in at the first time. They have to provide a management pack. So when you are interested in a property, the auction house should give you a pack with all the information about that property. Now, do they always do that? No. Sometimes you can ask and ask and ask again and you still don't get it, or you get partial information. So you need to be careful that you know all the information. Just to tell you, for example, an extreme case, a property might have £5,000 of unpaid factor fees, and they might be attached to that property. And when you buy the property, you don't know, next thing that becomes your liability. So that's, things like that can happen. You need to know the ins and outs. You need to have some experience to go to the auctions, and ideally you probably want to have the cash as opposed to relying on finance, unless you've maybe got a very good credit score and the finance is sitting there ready to go, or you've got an investor that's ready to go at short notice. But yeah, just be very, very careful with auction houses. Make sure you know all the details before you jump in and buy anything from them. Another great way of getting off-market properties is direct to the vendor. Now, this can cover a few different subjects. One of the ones for direct to vendor would be marketing. Again, I'm not suggesting you all run out and spend thousands of pounds in marketing, but if you have a budget and if you are serious and you want to go fast, then a marketing campaign, whether it's Facebook ads or any other kind of marketing, that can bring you off market properties where people have a need to sell. Your advert has reached them at just the right time, and then they contact you looking for a quick sale. Some people do this, and again, we spoke at length about this on the call, maybe 5, maybe 10 years ago, sending out lots of letters, for example, 10,000 letters to hit an area, might have gave you some phone calls, might have got you some opportunities. I don't believe it works very well these days, but if you paid £1,000 for 10,000 letters to go out and you got one property, you might argue it's a great strategy. You could also send 10,000 letters out and not even receive a single phone call, a single inquiry. So that is a judgment call for you if you want to spend some money. Again, it was a lot more successful years ago. I don't believe it's a very good strategy now, but again, you'll know your area better than I will. Have you had these kind of leaflets and letters through the door? If you have or you haven't, that might, determine whether you would want to try that strategy. Something else that used to be successful, and again, you're probably going back 10 years, people used to put lots of bandit boards up, and you've probably all seen them when you pull up at the lights at a busy junction. There'll be some kind of bandit board tied onto the fence. We buy your homes quick, we buy your homes for cash, we'll buy your home now, sell your home, we'll rent it back to you, these kind of adverts. And again, they did used to work. I don't believe they work very well now, but again, that's a judgment call. You'll know if your area has been hit with a lot of these bandit boards. You'll know if you want to try that strategy, if you want to put some bandit boards out. Again, not something I've ever done, not something I would recommend, but you could put out 100 bandit boards, you get one phone call, you buy a property, you make £20,000-30,000 off that property. It's a great strategy, it's worked for you, but again, long term, not something that's going to bring you regular properties on a regular basis. So up to you if you want to try it, but again, you're going direct to the vendor. You're reaching that person who might have a property to sell, who might need some assistance, might need a quick sale, and you're going to help them with that solution. Again, we touched on the estate agents and letting agents. These guys are invaluable. They work in property day in, day out, selling properties. We're in the business of trying to buy the properties, albeit we want to sell them later or refinance them, but the more contacts you can make, the better. A little kind of niche hint or tip, if you like. I've got 2 cleaning companies who help me out with properties on occasion. It's not a valuable source, as in I'm not getting regular leads through, but these cleaning companies have said to me at least 2 or 3 times a year they will be cleaning a property out where, again, someone's maybe died, maybe someone's lost their job, it's been repossessed, whatever the circumstance, they're in cleaning the property, and they then maybe get asked to do a full property clearance, and they maybe get chatting personally with the family, and someone in the family says, we just want rid of this property, we don't know what to do with it, or we don't have any time to do anything with it. And they can say, well, I've got a solution for you. So they can come to me and they know that I'll take the property off them. I'll obviously give them a kickback, I'll pay them something for doing it. But cleaning companies was a bit of a surprise to me, but again, it's a potential good in to finding properties where someone wants that quick solution and wants out. Another one would be debt recovery companies. They obviously know when people have financial situations where a property's maybe been repossessed or taken back for whatever reason, and as a debt recovery company, they legally can't buy the property for their own financial gain. Some of them might do it, but they're not supposed to do anything like that which benefits their financial side. Obviously they're there to give debt advice and help people through situations. They then can't use that situation to make their own situation better. It's not to say if you had some clients or some friends who were in that sector, they couldn't potentially pass you leads for situations where they knew someone needed assistance and you could be that person that steps in and gives them assistance. Anything you can do that's creative, that gets you properties, is what to do. It's like anything in property, it's like anything in business. The more creative you can be, the more solutions you can come up with, the more success you'll have. Again, we touched on the social media stuff. I've been going on about this so much the last few weeks, and it's good to see I've got quite a few clients all starting to push the social media thing a bit more. If you've got a bit of a stigma, if you're a bit scared of social media, you don't want to put yourself out there, speak to me and we'll come up with a strategy that suits you. We can go softly, we can take small steps. Again, take Dee for example. 2-3 weeks ago, she wasn't a big fan of doing a lot in social media. Now she got a few investors in. She started doing a bit more in social media. She's now getting so much interest. She's literally posting every day. And it doesn't take a lot for you to get there, but I know we've always got, if everyone's got a situation or someone in their social media or someone in their circle that's maybe holding them back from putting things out on social media, but you're never going to get off-market properties from people who know you if they don't know what you do. So it's a very, very simple and a very free tool for everyone to utilise, and I can come up with a strategy that helps you, whatever your circumstances. Just go bit by bit until you're comfortable, and then you can push it out a bit more. But everyone's starting to do a bit more on social media, which is really pleasing to see, and hopefully everyone starts getting results through too. So anything else on the sourcing side, give me a shout, and we'll all catch up the next time we do a one-to-one. Just remember, next Sunday, Real Look That are on, doing a guest call for us and answering all your questions on sourcing and their service that they provide. So, yep, any questions, get in touch and try and make it on to the next group call next week. Cheers.